All right, guys, welcome to a brand new episode of Philosophy Culture. This is a really special episode. We got Costin here as always.
What's up, Emils?
Yeah, and we got a really special bro here as well from Germany, Tiiiim.
What's up, man?
What's up, man? And this episode we're gonna talk about what?
Yeah, so our episode will be called Is Generation Z Lost, where we will have some subtopics about work ethics, discipline, self-responsibility, and some political opinions.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
Looking forward.
Yeah. The classic question is, why do you think this topic is important of discussing?
Okay. That's a good question. So I think it should be one of the most important questions which we should have in our mind as our generation, because it will follow us the whole life. We will work with these people, like with our age people. We will live with them. We will probably our partner, our female partner or whatever, will be one of this generation. So it will follow us the whole life. And if we are not fitting to it, or if we're not adapting to it, I think it will cause some problems. But it's not only adapting, maybe we can also change something in there, have an influence in our generation. And I just want to discuss with you guys how you think, or what you think our generation is, to which direction our generation is going to, also in comparison with the older ones, grandparents, parents, stuff like this. And also maybe there's a difference from German people to Sweden or Latvian people in this generation. I think there is. So yeah.
All right. Nice. So yeah, maybe we should just start with the first argument, or how do you feel?
For sure.
With the first point.
What I already said, let's keep on the working ethics discipline part. So what I told you with my family, with the generations, I think all the generations, like grandparents, they had a really bad starting point. So they had to be in uncomfortable moments, in uncomfortable situations, and just wanted to be out of this situation. And they were disciplined to do it. Like when they had to stand up at 5 a.m., they did it because they knew what will come next, and it worked. They could afford a family, they could afford a house. And as you can see, I don't know how you are familiar with the German history of the last 80 years, but it started from like in 45, it started as a destroyed country. And in the last, especially the last 20 years, we were like the fourth biggest economic country in the world. But now we are kind of at the turning point. We can see it in different KPIs. And when I ask my generation, hey, how should your life look like? There's not a lot coming with work. It's a lot with traveling around and having a good work-life balance. And this is all extremely important. And it's nice that we can discuss how many hours we want to work in a week. This is all like we achieved it because of our generations before, that we are in a luxury position now. But in my opinion, we are not really awarding this enough, that we are privileged to do this. And I'm not sure if we do this actually. I think a lot of people are thinking it should always be like this, that we can choose if we work or not. And this is not normal. Was never normal. Also not 10,000 years ago. People had to keep themselves alive 10 hours a day minimum.
Yeah.
So
of
it's
course.
not normal that we are that privileged. And what do you think about it?
No, like I think it makes sense, kind of that we think that way, because people in our generation, that's kind of all we know. That's all we have lived. So I think we take the luxuries we have for granted for sure. Especially if we haven't been like enlightened of things that have happened before us, before we were born. So
yeah, the problem is I always have to think about the statement. I'm not sure if it's true, but you probably also know it, that hard times create strong people.
yeah.
Strong people create strong times, and strong times create weak people.
Yeah.
And I have to, like, I'm really afraid a bit that we are at the moment, as at least in Germany or Europe, we're at the time where we have like strong times create weak people, and our generation can be the weak people, you know what I mean? And I don't want to be like, I don't want to counter these people.
Yeah.
This generation. That's a bit why I want to discuss this topic with you, because maybe I think too far, maybe it's not like that. But at the moment, I think there are a lot of like not for the mindset, not that strong people anymore, when you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
not, they don't want to be uncomfortable anymore and stuff like this. And I think there will be times where you need uncomfortability. So
yeah, you need that to
there's a
grow.
need for it. Maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you share this like that I'm afraid? Do you share this feeling that you are worried?
Yeah, I would say so. I can totally resonate for sure. How about you, Costin?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it's understandable, and I think the technology and, as you said, like the previous generations before us have been doing the hard things for us to live up to the easy things and have a sort of easy and luxury life. So yeah, it's kind of worrying. Why not?
Yeah, and then I can also,
I mean,
yeah,
yeah.
go ahead.
Emils, you first. I will keep my point in the memory.
Okay, do that. No, you said that you're kind of worried that you said that strong times create weak people. I think a lot of that has to do also with how we stand politically as well, especially in the West, with the West and with the woke things and all that. Yeah. So
Yeah, I mean, we will come to this later.
Yeah.
But in general, it's not a bad thing that we can discuss these problems at the moment. I just hope that the people know that these problems are only there because we found a solution for bigger problems. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just want to know that our generation is aware of this. Like, this is a bit my problem, because when there will be really like real problems, I think it won't be that easy for us to solve it then.
Right.
So we should always be aware that we live in a crazy time at the moment, like in a great time where we can create problems which can be necessary, but they shouldn't be prioritized over real problems our generations before had.
All right.
I think the creation of problems is you mentioned to create problems, right? Yeah, and I think that's a very, very good point. We are worrying and we are focusing on stuff that is actually not that important. And so we are creating unnecessary problems that actually, well, maybe we aren't like, we don't care about them. But like the generation itself, like the big mass, is actually focusing on that stuff.
Yeah.
Which we shouldn't even consider. Because I think there are so many other problems that are, bigger issues. And yeah.
Right. Do we want to get into some of those issues?
Let's bring up some of these problems, and then we can discuss it later in the political mindset thing, maybe.
Yeah.
Should I start, or do you want to start with bringing up some issues?
You're the guest.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. So what I thought about in the last 5 minutes, that there are like a hell of creative problems, but let's take like three. One of it would be like small problems everybody has in its like normal life. Also, I by myself, like it's also self-reflection here. So, for example, when there's a scratch in the car, like it's like seriously, I had a scratch in my car like 3 years ago, and it was really bad moment for me. I was the whole day I was like not didn't want to speak to people and stuff like this. Like it's crazy, but 50 years ago, the people would have thought, okay, fuck it, I go to the next repair shop and do it. But I was really fucked up. I thought about how could this happen, because it wasn't a parking place where some other person just did it and flew away. So
Right.
I to the police and stuff like this. And it's not a big issue, you know what I mean? But because I didn't really had a real problem in my life, maybe it to this time, it was like this was at the moment the biggest problem. This is one thing I meant. And then other problems, I think there's big package of problem created by social media, like this comparison to other people problem. And then also always try to be the victim then. For example, there was like in Germany, there was like an interview session with some people, and they were discussing about fat phobia. And I think first of all, it has to be said, nobody should be like bad mouthed. How is it called? Speaking bad about people.
Yeah.
Nobody should be the victim of speaking bad about a person because he looks different kind of way, if it's fat or whatever. This is really a thing. I fully agree. Nobody should speak bad about it. But what people said in this interview was that it shouldn't even be like stated as unhealthy when you are like overweight. And I think, and there was also a medicine guy there, and he was the only one who said, "Hey, I fully agree that we shouldn't speak bad about these people. But we also should be aware of the fact that it's unhealthy to be fat, and it's not that we should have a goal in our life to be like that. Like it shouldn't be like advertised to be like this. You know what I mean? And I think this is also why, and all this advertisement, marketing stuff like this, there are always like perfect bodies and stuff like this. But it has a reason, because this is in our nature, for our head, this looks healthy and this is attractive. So these are the points. I think this goes too far for me, to be honest. Respect is extremely important, but I won't accept the fact, or it's not a fact, but I won't accept the like fact for them that they say, to be fat is healthy. No, this we shouldn't have a goal to be like this. No,
I disagree.
it's not the same. It's not the same when you are fit and train and everything. It's definitely not the same. And, yeah.
I disagree, Tim. I think you're wrong. No, but like, yeah, I totally agree, for sure. Yeah, like what you said, respect is the number one.
Yeah.
But just to state that obese people is healthy, or like to be obese is healthy, that's just not true. And
Yeah.
I think we should like already go to the political argument, because this ties so well in together with all the wokeness and how they try to include everything that they don't even know that they want to make what's true and not true just a gray zone. So.
Yeah, I think there are two stages of wokeness. The first stage is like when it's only the first stage, I'm also woke actually. because the first stage just says, okay, we are including everybody in our society. What we also did in the last 70 years, maybe. It's extremely important to also, again, the point of respect, to not discriminate person who is having a different sexuality or whatever. This is really a point where I also get angry when I see somebody on the open streets is discriminating a person which is maybe a minority or something. This is extremely, really, this is the first stage. And this is what originally wokeness means, because to be awake or to be
Awake,
to be aware, like awake to against discrimination and against I only know the German word. To keep
Like-
somebody out of a group, you know what I mean?
right.
Like, yeah.
Alienate.
Alienate, exactly. But then there's a second stage, and I think this is like a new creation of the last 5 to 7 years, where it goes in a really strange direction that you're not like, some people are really like not forcing, but they want that everybody is the same. But it's not like that. It's that everybody has the same opportunities and everybody is respecting each other, but not everybody is the same. It doesn't work like this, and we should keep some distances between different kind of cultures and societies and whatever. And I think this is not like or it shouldn't be a goal that everybody is the same. Everybody should have the same opportunities, but to keep to take everybody in one bottle does not work for me.
For sure. Yeah.
I think that's a really interesting point. And when you said, I don't know if you said it, but everyone, they are trying to make everyone the same.
Yep.
I don't know if maybe you mentioned it or you maybe didn't, but I think that's the like real problem, and especially when they are forcing this on children, just to make them, when they are adults, that they are having exactly the same sort of
gender or whatever.
Yeah, or whatever.
It's not even the same.
Or whatever they are trying to implement is kind of horrible, according to me, because as you said, like everyone should have the same opportunities, right? But if you're just creating or you're forcing your opportunity or your sort of direction to other people's minds or behavior, then you're not actually allowing everyone to have their own opportunities.
Yeah,
for sure. And like one point about the respect,
exactly.
like we all agree that everybody should be respected, but you can't respect everything equally the same, because some things are wrong, some things are right. Not everything can be respected if we want to have values and standards in the society. That's all. Okay. That's also a thing we have to be aware of.
That's an interesting point. It's an interesting point. I think I know what you mean with like there are borders which are like largening. You know what I mean? Yeah. Earlier days, the borders were kind of heightened, and this is also not good. Now the borders are bigger and if there's a field of people, of different cultures, of societies, of different mindsets who are fitting into these borders, and that's nice. But I think what you said, borders, like some kind of borders, are kind of important, because if there's nothing, then I think the society doesn't work anymore. There should be some conditions, let's not say borders, but some conditions in which we are living together. And maybe a concrete example, when, like, for example, there's also in German TV, there are sometimes like programs about people who do strange stuff, and then there are men who like dress as children, like as babies, and then they say, yeah, I feel like a baby and that's my life. This, like, seriously, this is not normal for me, and I think this will never be normal. It is okay that he's doing this, but I think we shouldn't try to make this normal in our society. This is not normal. This is not good. Like it's also not good for his mind, to be honest. But otherwise, there's another example. For example, when there are people who of the LGBTQ scene, I think this is fully all right to keep them in our like as they want to be, sexuality as they want to have. If it's not completely strange, like when there will be a sexuality when you try to be with a plant or whatever, then it's also not normal anymore, I guess. But the borders, the conditions can be wide. It's not a problem, but there should be some kind of condition where we say, okay, this is not fitting to our society anymore. But you can be like that, but it's not fitting. Like, yeah.
Yeah,
You know,
and like that is exactly where I feel where the hard discussions are need to be had,
yeah.
if I said it correctly.
Mhm.
Because yeah, we have to draw the line somewhere. And also it's difficult though, because I agree with what you said that if somebody is weird, has a weird fetish, they identify as a bear and want to live in the woods, let's say, okay, go ahead. But the thing is, if we promote this stuff in media,
Exactly.
and that all those things influence the next generations, especially like we see so clearly how our generation is the most gay generation. Is like it was like a stat from Valuetainment, their channel. When I watched it, it's like 20% of our generation is kind of identifying as a gay person or LGBTQ person.
Really?
How many percent?
20%.
20.
Yeah, like in US. I don't know how it is in Europe or
Mhm.
Damn.
so that is where I feel we need to have the tough discussions. And one thing, one more interesting thing, Patrick Bet David said, like, who's the CEO of Valuetainment, the media company. He like came across this interesting saying that we should be intolerant towards the intolerant, because what we are seeing now is this LGBTQ agenda is being pushed kind of hard. Don't you agree? Like we have a month for LGBTQ, but we don't have a month for family or like stuff like that. And they are kind of being intolerant against the traditional values. So are we expected to be tolerant against all this? So it's really interesting.
I fully agree to your point. I think it's like not fully, but definitely a big part. I think the problem is that there are two ideologies at the moment. Like when I just compare Europe, you have the ideology of, for example, Hungary, where it's kind of they want to fight against all these new influences, and this doesn't work. You can't fight politically against social influences. It doesn't work. You have to give the people the freedom to develop, but then on the other side, you have the ideology of probably Sweden in this case, and also parts of Germany, where you have to say, okay, we have to push, we have to force this scene to be big and to actually, I think they want to fight against countries like Hungary, and then Hungary even is trying to make it more strict. That's what we can see at the moment, because Hungary is making it more strict, more strict, more strict. They are like they try to forbid everything just coming into this scene, and on the other side, there are countries who are making it like promoting it more and more. I think promoting is a really good word, because yeah, you can.
With Hungary, what do you mean? Like, what are they? Are they like really against?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, they not. I think not everybody is against there, but the political direction there is really trying to keep this minority on a really low level. Like they also maybe in parts you can agree, but I think this is too much what they're doing. They also in Russia, for example, they try to, like, sometimes the people are getting into prison when they're openly say that they're LGBTQ person and stuff like this. So, and also, I'm not sure if this is the right way. I don't think so.
Yeah,
Because
it's tricky. It's tricky
you know,
because it
yeah,
isn't really the natural way. Sorry.
yeah, exactly. It's not a natural way how a society should develop. Because me as a liberal, I'm a real liberal person. So first of all, I don't have a problem when the society is changing from itself. It will change, and at the moment it changes into a direction which is more inclusion of people, more multicultural stuff. This is actually, for me, the sense of it is good. The sense of it is good. But the really important point, what you also said, guys, is this. At the moment, it's not coming from itself anymore. It's partly a political agenda, actually, kind of, for me, like in my opinion. It's in the beginning, it was a societal development coming from itself. Now it's being promoted from some parts of the political area, and they try to push it towards the whole society. And this doesn't work because it needs time. This development needs time, and then the society will decide which kind of development will stay and whatnot. And the political side should not participate too much to it. That's my problem at the moment.
Yeah, Costin.
Just, yeah, Costin.
No. I'm just listening because I think you have some good points. I don't know. I think everything comes down to like limits, right? So there should be a certain limit that, maybe shouldn't be surpassed, because then it will turn into something exaggerated, like today's society with LGBTQ and, like way too much attention toward that sort of group of people. Even though, as you said, like they should be accepted. Like, sure, if you believe in, I don't know, this is a random example, but if you believe in, I don't know which sort of tradition or family build up or something, fine, like, sure, that's your opinion, go ahead and do whatever you want. But when it comes to promoting that sort of stuff, and especially influencing children, because I think that children are the most sort of like they are the easiest to influence, right? So that's again like when you're starting to, like, how should I even put it, like if you want to change a society or the future of a society, you're actually starting, or you should start influencing the children, right? So the youngest persons. So yeah, I don't have much to add. I just think it's
a good point. It's a really good point, because as I said, like, this development of society, the change of society should come from itself, and it shouldn't be part of, for example, our school system. It shouldn't be part of our school system to include a political agenda to it, or an ideology, but it can come from itself. So yeah,
no, that's another thing. Like the schools and the like universities and so on should be neutral, right? So they shouldn't try. I remember we had a teacher that, well, we were talking about the society and governmental stuff and things like that, and we were talking about parties, and he was like, yeah, you know what, I won't say which party I voted on, because it's not my duty to actually influence your sort of choice.
Yeah.
And I think he was so right about it. And the same with the religion teacher in the upper secondary high school, Emils. Like she wasn't trying to influence anything on us or like push something on us. And I think that that's how it should be, right? So everything should be neutral. If you believe in one thing or one religion, fine. If you believe in the other, fine. Like,
yes, 100%.
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, really good point. Neutrality, whatever, in universities and in schools is probably one of the most important things, actually. And I'm not sure if this is still the case in schools. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't think so personally, but yeah.
Mm.
From what I've heard from you, Emils, and your program that you have attended,
Yeah.
I don't think it is the case anymore.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about it. What is the issue there? The main issue.
Well, it is actually in Kalmar where we met. Like the school there, especially the program I attended, was really woke. Well, it's simply as that. Like they were really promoting that gender is a social construct and it isn't really real, and kind of this man-hating-ish feminism, you know. They were using words as toxic masculinity and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think this is a big problem. I had this discussion 2 days ago about like words which are coming not influential but inflating, like words who are inflating the society, but they should be used just in some cases, because if they use inflative, for example, toxic masculinity, I think I'm fully agree, there is toxic masculinity in the world, and it is a big problem actually, because, for example, when there are people who are not really strong and like can't work on a like construction area, whatever, and they think with their head or whatever, and then some men come and say, you're not a real man because you can't you don't have a big biceps or whatever. This is a bad example, but it's the only one I have at the moment. Then this would be toxic masculinity actually, because these men are not respecting the other man for other skills. This would be for me toxic masculinity. But now in today's world, a lot of times toxic masculinity is used for things such as, there are some people who say, when you are going to the gym to train your body to be more attractive, you're toxic masculine. What the fuck? Like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And this is an example. I mean, like, really, I had this discussion 2 days ago, and I said this, and then there were two people who said, yeah, it is toxic masculine when you train to just be attractive for women. And I said, no, it's not. Why are people making themselves beautiful because they want to attract the other gender?
Yeah.
Because this is natural. It was always like this.
Yeah.
In 1 million years ago, or also in the animal world, people making themselves attractive, if it's muscles, if it's haircut, to be attractive to the other gender. So it has nothing to do with toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
Then we could at the same time argue that toxic femininity would be that they are just using makeup or like botox or stuff like that, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
But like on the other hand, I think it's just part of the human, like biology. Biologically speaking, it's just normal, right? To try to be or to look as good as possible.
Fully agree.
Yeah.
So, okay, I don't know.
And but I think this closes the circle, because in my opinion, all these like developments are kind of right, but at the moment we are crossing a line where it's not healthy anymore, because it's just going above the ideology is going above the normal human minds, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like, there are problems, we can solve these, we partly already solved these problems, but then there are more problems created which are not problems anymore. This is what I meant at the beginning.
Yeah. All right. And just to bring us back to the track we were on before we ended up in the woods, we were talking about the working ethics.
Yes.
So these were the problems we were discussing now.
Yep.
and how these problems aren't really that important. And yeah, we went on a political ramble, but yeah. How do you think this affects working ethics in the society? Just to say some final conclusions, then we can move on to the next.
I think it affects, that's what I wanted to say. I would have drawn a line to self-responsibility now, but it's good that you make it like this because then it comes together. I think it affects everything, discipline, self-responsibility, because today you always have wait, I have to Google this word because it's important now. 1 second.
Yeah. No hurry, no hurry.
Excuse, exactly. Today you often or always have an excuse to not like do something, to perform, to show what you can, because there's always an excuse. I'm that, I'm a victim of that, I'm a victim of that, I'm special because of this. But actually we are all the same, and we should, I think a little bit of comparison ourselves is kind of important. It's normal. And I think people try to find a way out of this and find problems which they create by themselves. And then they keep everything on this, and this limits their performance a lot of times. For example, like I always bring examples which are really obvious, but there are way more examples. But there's one example with the fat phobia thing. This person maybe could achieve a lot in the work, with their own body, but then this person says, I'm fat because I have a bad okay, this is already
metabolism.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably. And then, but it's not the case. And I mean, there are people who really are sick and can't lose weight, and this is fully like, I don't want to change with these people. Fully respect that they still make their job, but mostly these people are actually performing. They're doing their job. They're not try to find excuses. But these people who could do better, they have this excuse and use it for like to find a way out of this whole, yeah, you know what I mean, I guess.
Yeah. Costin?
Yeah, no. I don't have much to add, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, same here. I agree.
So when you draw the line further to self-responsibility, then I think, like, comparison to my grandpa and grandma generation, these people had a lot of awareness for self-responsibility. They knew themselves they can only help themselves through bad times. They should build up their mind, they should build up their body, they should build up their capabilities to really be able to keep for live for themselves, to achieve things not by the help of others. And I think in our generation, because we had such a good time, and like the state, the government was always helping us in bad times, which is important, which is good, but now we kind of we missed to learn how to be self-responsible with our own lives. You know what I mean? Not finding excuses, just being aware, okay, this is wrong what I'm doing, and I try to make it better. And I think this mindset is like not that much in our mind anymore than in in older generations.
I think that's really interesting. Yeah, sorry, Emils, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I just feel like it's. I hope I'm not losing the thread there. I think it's also really much related to accountability. So being accountable of yourself and what you're doing, and your own decisions, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, and there was something more that I lost. Yeah, Emils jump in because I lost that thing. I lost the.
That is why I wanted you to go first, because I was gonna comment on the seamless transition from working ethics to self responsibility that Tiiiim made. That was so flawless. But yeah, so yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we should continue with the self responsibility then.
Yeah. So where do you see the biggest problem in terms of self-responsibility? Is it just a privilege that we don't see?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah. The thing is, at the moment, in our current time, because it's a good time, it's not a problem. It's not a problem at the moment. You always get help. You always can lean on other people. And if you are not really part of society, you're not missing at the moment, because there are always other people who work for you, you know what I mean, or do the bad stuff for you. But when it really comes to times, I hope it will never be like this, but probably it will, when there is not that much wealth anymore, when maybe there is like conflicts or whatever, as you can see in other countries. Then I'm not sure how our society in Germany, I can only speak for Germany, how our society will react. To be exactly in this topic, you can see it in the Ukraine versus Russia thing. The Ukrainians, they kept responsible for the country, and you can see it how you want, but for me, these people are heroes. Like seriously, they stand there, they fight for the country, even if they have no clue how to hold an weapon. They are actually they're successful with it, because Russia is not achieving the goals at the moment. Hopefully not. And I mean, I'm not sure how I would react. I'm not sure if I would stand there on the front and whatever. But in my mind, this is what self-responsibility or accountability looks like. Also to also be responsible for your, like, where you live, for your family, for your friends, for sure, for your, maybe for your country also. And yeah, this is one example. I'm not sure how I think in Germany the most people would run away, and maybe myself, to be honest. Self-reflection, but at the moment I would say no. I would stay there and try to do what the Ukrainians do at the moment, but I'm not sure. I was never in the situation. Yeah,
for sure, yeah. And like for me, almost comes down to like self responsibility for sure, but more so, I feel I think what they are displaying, the Ukrainians, are values.
yes,
They are proud of their country, and I think that people had before, like way back, when the Roman Empire was at its peak and like everything like that. Like people then, they had values they would die for. We don't
yeah,
have that today.
yeah, you're right.
That is why we, and myself included, like we haven't been taught to think in those kind of ways. So we would probably really second guess if we should stay in our home country to probably die on the front lines. Like I think that's a big part of it. I would assume. Maybe I'm
Yeah,
wrong, but that is kind of where my head goes.
definitely. It's a really good point. That's also the reason why I'm reading the Bible at the moment. I'm not religious. I was never really religious actually, but I like the Christian values, and I want to experience, like I want to get more knowledge about our values of our society. What are actually the original values? And what I read until now, most of the values were quite good. And but I like, where I would say, okay, this is a goal for us, our society, that we have these values. Values can also change over time, but as you said, I think it's important to have a set of values for society, and not everybody can have their own mind with their own rules and whatever. There should be some set of standards. I agree to it. I agree, but it shouldn't be too strict. It shouldn't be too strict. Like in countries like China, where they have like fucking a lot of rules, this is not my way of life. I think conditions and values are important, but not that many rules. Because if you have these strong values, you don't need that many rules, actually, I think.
For sure. That was a good quote, actually. If you have many good values, don't need many rules. Yeah.
Yeah. And sorry to have to interrupt again, but I think this is what, like, I always have my grandparents in my mind, because I think this is what they had. They still have great values. Sometimes I think, okay, crazy that you're so strict to your values, but they have them, and they didn't need a lot of rules back in the days. They built the country up by themselves. There was no state in between 1945 and 1949, 4 years. There was no state in this time, no government. It came in 1949, the real government. And also in the beginning of the government, they didn't have a lot of rules. The people were self-responsible. They knew themselves what was best for them. And the state is important to build up infrastructure, to build up the army, that you can defend your own people, to give education to the people. This is what the state should do, and build up streets and like other traffic areas like train or whatever. But it's, in my opinion, it's not the exercise of the, not exercise, it's not the job of the government to say to people what they should do, what they should choose in life or whatever. It's not the job of the government. It's just to provide some conditions to have a good life for the people.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that is kind of what we are seeing now. I love how we ended up here, actually.
Yeah.
But what we are seeing now is that we see governments kind of in a discreet way trying to do take away self-responsibility.
Yes, 100%. 100%. Yeah.
So that is where the censorship comes in, where the corporations say, this is good for you, this we will this will help you, as if we aren't adults and couldn't determine what is good for us. So yeah, it's makes total sense.
Yeah.
And that's how you obtain control, right?
Yeah.
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 I mean, I think it's always good for a state to have control over people, because then there won't be any conflicts, and it's good for the political side. And I by myself did this, please don't let it, like, I hope it doesn't sound like as if I'm an anarchist or whatever, like anarchist, you know what I mean?
What's that?
I think one second. I will Google it again, because that's important. English. Anarchy. People who want anarchy. I'm not this kind of person. Maybe it sounds like this, who don't want any state at all. Anarchy is when you don't want any state at all. I think this is also completely wrong. Like, but fuck, what did I want to say now? Exactly. So it shouldn't. I hope it doesn't sound like I'm a person who supports anarchy. I think government, also not strong, but a valuable government, is really important. But what the people do and how they live and what is happening in this country, I think the state should only interrupt when it's really necessary. And at the moment, it doesn't really happen like this anymore, because the government has, in my opinion, too much to speak with, or too much power in several personal areas, in my opinion.
Yeah,
And the people always think now, because it's like this over the last 40, 50 years, the people now in our generation think like, when I have problems, I can call the state and it will help me. So I don't have to take responsibility anymore for myself. But when there are real problems, sometimes the state is not there anymore. And then the people think like, what the fuck? Why is the state not helping me? It should. And then we come to this problem of, okay, they think like the state is so big, it should help, but in really big problems, personal problems, it doesn't help anymore. So
Yeah. Costin, do you have any thoughts?
No, I don't have any thoughts right now. I was just trying to sort of
maybe
connect everything
Process it,
together.
yeah.
you guys can reflect yourselves. Do you think you're self-responsible? Do you think you could, your accountability for yourself, you're accountable for yourself, you also in
Yeah.
comparison to other people, maybe to other
Well,
generations, to other people?
right. Well, if I would start, I would say that I'm a bit lacking in that area, to be honest.
Okay, it's honest. It's honest.
Yeah, that would just be me.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
I think, I don't know. I think I have like some wrong like assumptions about the world at times, which kind of hold me back and like makes me, yeah, brings me to this victim mentality at times.
Okay, I know what you mean. Can I like go to this point one second, because I think this is actually a big point. When you say you have a wrong picture about the world, you probably mean like that you're just a person who is getting like played with by the elite or by the political side. Is it what you mean? Like you can't really be responsible for yourself, because there will be other people who like play with you on the field of the world. Know what I mean? You're
Yeah,
just a figure, and is it what you mean? Or
yeah. I wasn't necessarily thinking about that in such big scale, even though I would agree with it. I think, like at certain times. But yeah, I'm more so thinking about like a smaller scale, like in terms of jobs and stuff.
okay,
Like it's like I don't like to, beg, and like yeah, I feel like I have to really, I don't know, I feel like I have to like kiss a lot of ass to like get a job,
I know what you mean. Yeah,
that's
I know
kind
what
of
you
stuff.
mean.
Like they have to like you to and like all these that's the whole system of yeah.
Mm, mm, mm.
I think that's my biggest thing, to be honest.
Okay, Costin, what would you say? Do you feel like you're already self-responsible for yourself, like accountable for yourself, or are you lacking in some areas?
I mean, self-responsibility. I would kind of say so, because I like to deal with my stuff by my own kind of, you know. And I think that also makes it a good transition to accountable. I don't know. I usually take the blame for the mistakes I make.
Pretty good.
Sort of. That's what I would say. And I don't know. I think different sports and just sports have had a like good impact on self-responsibility and accountability and stuff.
Yes. Which sports do you mean exactly by this?
Football, for example, I think all kind of sports.
Yep.
Like I think that if you're dedicated to one sport and really try to focus on it and become the best version, or like the best you can be in a certain sport, and train as hard as possible, you will, by that, like eventually you will gain some self-respect.
Yep.
Which could also lead to responsibility somehow.
Yep. Yeah, because I think sports is a good example, because yeah, you can directly see if you do a mistake, everybody sees it on the field.
Yeah.
especially when you do a sports where you're on your own, like tennis or golf or whatever, then you make a mistake, everybody sees it, and you can't hide behind somebody else. In a company, you often can, like in a big company, you often can hide behind others. You can say, it was not my mistake, it was somebody else. But in sports, this is honesty. This is raw honesty, because everybody sees your mistake. You have to be accountable for it, and then you can try to perform better, to like solve this mistake, or to wash away your mistake, when you know what I mean.
I think that's a brilliant example, to be honest, because now when you said that, I used to have a coach that he was like straight on the point. So I used to play football, so it was a team sports, but in that team everyone has their own role and responsibilities. So obviously if you don't do your job as you're supposed to, you will eventually have a certain impact on the team's overall performance. And he was like straight on. I was like, after the game, he could, just come to your face and say like, what the fuck were you doing? And I absolutely love that. I think that's the sort of people you kind of need to grown up with.
Yeah, exactly.
And I know that my dad was that. Even before this coach, he really wanted me to succeed in, not necessarily a sport, but in whatever I do. And he was like, especially on football, he was like quite strict, like, yo, like, listen to me, do it like this and this.
Hell yeah.
So
it's perfect.
Yeah. So I think having strict parents, or somewhat, not necessarily strict parents, but parents or like people around you that keep you accountable for certain stuff, is really important when you grow up.
This is a really big problem, what is also part of our current society. A lot of parents want to, when their children are doing mistakes, or when their children are doing something which is like, for example, in schools, when they're doing something bad, these parents are always try to stand up for their children, speaking to the teacher, saying, no, my child, my kid is not doing stuff like this. I know my kid is not doing this. And in the end, it is happening. Like this kid is behaving like a monster, but the parents, I don't know why, but currently the parents are always want to think their kid is an angel and is never doing something like this, and taking responsibility away from the children. And that's like some children are already getting raised with the mindset, I can do everything and I don't have to be responsible for it, because my parents said I'm not the one who is mistaken here. It's always the teacher or always the other person.
I love that.
And it's really good that you had a coach in football who said to you, like personally said to you guys, you did a mistake. You have to learn from it. Lessons learned is always important. This is the best way you can learn. It's uncomfortable in this moment. It's extremely uncomfortable. You can't run away. But in the end, it's the best lesson you can give. It's the best lesson.
It's kind of embarrassing when it happens, but it stays for you, or it stays with you forever, because I'm still like, even now after I don't know how many years, I'm still like, he kind of shares some of his mentality, or like implements it into your own sort of head.
Yeah,
obviously. And it's really valuable.
Yeah,
and I think on the other hand, that's another thing. Like, you could also have a coach which says, yeah, well done with everything you do, even though I've had that type of coaches as well.
Yeah.
But that's when my dad stepped in, and he actually pointed out that, hey, that's shit what you're doing. And even though they're saying good job and well done and try again, sure, but I mean, come on, like, you have to see your own mistakes.
And I think love is the shit.
Sorry?
Tough love is the shit.
Yeah, I mean, but
yeah, no, it's necessary.
You have to be realistic. I think you have to be realistic.
Yep, 100%. And I think maybe this is actually one of these big reasons why our society is not that strong anymore. Like, not that has also so comfortable, because also in social media, everything you do, like in every app, every game you play, it is always only mentioned when you do something good, it's well done. But when you do something bad, nobody says you're doing it wrong in this game, because like the game developer, they want you to keep playing this game, so they will only award you, they will never threat you bad. So this is maybe also social media gives us the feeling like we are always the best. We never do something wrong, and then our parents also sometimes, not everybody, but I think a lot of parents in our generation, maybe because they only have one children or two children, and like in earlier days they had four children, they don't have the time to like be so soft to everybody, and now the parents only have one child, and it's their angel, they never want something bad coming to them. So this is I think a bad mixture.
Sure, yeah. What a conclusion. Damn, this is a really good podcast, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Do you feel comfortable moving on to the last point, or do you?
Yes.
Let's go.
We should do a part 2 of this.
Absolutely.
Definitely, yeah.
So kind of a thing that we have discussed kind of all throughout the podcast is a political mindset, political ideas, but I guess we can now truly speak about political mindset, or I don't know if we have anything left to say, to be honest.
Exactly. I think we already discussed a lot about it. I think we already took a lot of these political points into our discussion. But maybe one thing we can add is I'm a bit afraid that in the future we will have more radicals on the right side and on the left side. That like this normal thinking people is maybe going like down and down and down, because when you look at what the people in Germany, what they elect at the moment, which parties they elect, there are actually a lot of young people who vote for extremely rights because they are not happy what is happening. And there are even more people who are voting for the leftists, like left parties. And the center parties, okay, yeah, there's one party in which I'm also the liberals, which are really like popular for younger people, but otherwise there's not much anymore. So I'm a bit afraid if this will keep on going like that the radical side will be stronger and stronger and fight each other, or if it's just a moment where it is like that. Maybe younger people are more radical voting because young people always want to change something, and then they don't take the parties which were in power the last years. Maybe this is one reason for it. But,
Yeah. Yeah, like also how the ideas are so extreme, like which creates hate.
Yes.
And that kind of makes it easy to kind of throw common sense away, just
Exactly.
to kind of prove a point to those that you don't agree with. So I think it's really important to promote, or just have an open mind. Like, yeah. Like, I don't know. I think values is really, really a core thing there as well. If you have values that you follow and think are good, it doesn't matter if they align more with the left or the right. If there are like, and I think we're seeing such fluidity almost with the political thinking and opinions. So just chaos, which like results in extremism on both sides.
Like the common sense part, what you said, I think it's pretty interesting, because today people are also creating their own facts. There is no common sense anymore. Like sometimes people create their own facts and build it up with arguments where you never can prove is it wrong or right. The internet is not really like transparent, you know what I mean? So I think what is really important for us, that we think for ourselves what can be logical, which, like, there is a fact which is provided to me as a fact, but is it logical to me? Like, I think own thinking, also self-responsibility again. Think by your own, and if something really makes no sense to you, it still can be true, but I would be critical if something is direct. Like, if I have a bad feeling in my stomach about a topic where I think, no, there's something wrong with it, I will be critical about it. I will be critical about it. And maybe I will make my own research about it, and then let's see.
For sure. And the big problem is also when the other side or a side tries to shut down conversation, because that is the one thing that will create some
Yes.
kind of sense.
Yes,
And
definitely.
when you speak to a angry transgender person who doesn't want to, that's like a good example, because we have seen a lot of them where they just too extreme, in my opinion. If they are not open to discussion, like they just want to scream in your face and say, "Yeah, we will take your kids," or whatever. Just, I don't
Definitely.
know.
Definitely. This creates like a, oh, what was this? This creates like a, wait, I have to Google again, because also a hole? No, not a hole. Okay, you go on. I will search for the word.
Like my word would be almost fascism, because that's like by definition almost like because I think I should be not too wrong about this, because it is a really strong word, but like I think fascism is when you really try to oppress a opinion that doesn't align with your own, that you really try to kill off the opposing side.
Yeah, definitely. I think now I have my word. When you have these extreme opinions, it keeps on dividing the society. For example, I again have an example. Maybe you know not the last generation, the people who are gluing themselves on the street. You know what I mean?
Just stop oil,
In all the countries in Europe, in Germany, they really have a big number of people, like some thousands of people, who get money by sources which are kind of questionable. Not really fitting to what they want. And they glue on the streets. They also destroy hotel lobbies and stuff like this. And we're not discussing about climate because of them. We're not discussing about climate. We are discussing about regulations, how we can solve the problems with them. How long can we take them in prison? This is what we discuss at the moment. So it's completely wrong direction in which they are focusing, like these glue people. They're not achieving any goals they have. They just creating chaos on the streets. It's crazy. Sometimes the ambulance is not coming through the way, has to take another way, or is just standing there for half an hour, because it's like in the city, a big traffic in the city is, there's no way for cars to come through. So it just creates chaos. It divides the society. They also are really questionable people who, like, most of the times they stop their studies and now are full-time activists. So these people are not really, like, for me, they don't have any expertise or whatever. They're just probably people who have no clue what they should do, and then they do this. But they have the lobby. They have people who are standing behind them. There are a lot of people who are standing behind these climate gluers. And this would be like these extreme people who are dividing our society. And then there's room for extreme right people who like get also a bigger opinion because they have people which they can like these people support facts of the real right ones, you know what I mean? And then the real right, the extreme right ones, they get more and more votes. For example, in Germany at the moment they have 20%, the extreme rights. So it's what they do, it's not good for anybody. They not achieving any goal. It's I think even the other side profits more of it.
Yeah. And how I see it, I could be wrong, but I feel like they have just fallen for a political agenda in the end of the day, because as you said, it isn't really promoting like action against climate change.
Yeah,
it's just we're just talking about how we can control or get rid of those annoying people on the streets, which creates more regulations, which again kind of constricts our freedom in a way. And now when you were speaking about the both extreme sides, a interesting thing I have heard from again Valley Timmons is both these extreme sides, even though in society and like in politics we see them as really opposing sides, they're kind of working. Their extremism is kind of leading to the same end goal in a way, where it's just no room for discussions. Like either this or that. Like there isn't any.
Often the extreme rights are closer to the extreme lefts than they think.
Yeah.
They both have the same goals. They want a new world order. They want like their country to be completely different than it's now. They want a new system. And oftentimes these people want anarchy. Like they don't want any rules anymore. Like
is that the right word? Maybe I don't know. I'm thinking of I'm bad with these type of words, but isn't there a word like totalitarianism?
Totalitarianism, yeah.
But I don't know if that's the right word.
I'm not sure if like I think the extreme lefts, they don't want totalitarianism. That's against their ideology. I think they want anarchy. They really want their okay, but actually you're right. It's not that easy to say because there are left people who want anarchy. They don't want any state at all. And there are left people who want a strong state with like Eastern Germany or the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union, it was also communism, an extremely strong state who had all the properties. The state had all the properties. The state was the economy. And people had nothing and were easy to be controlled. So yeah, actually, yeah, it goes in the same direction. Yeah, I know what you mean. And the extreme right people, they probably want like Nazi Germany, one leader with one clear direction.
Yeah. Crazy. Damn. But yeah, I think it's awesome that we are having this discussion though. So really, we should have more people on and speak about these topics. And
definitely. Yeah, I mean, we talked about some problems. We talked about I think we also talked about some developments which are going into the right direction, but are just going too far. So in the end, we live in a really good time. We have some developments which are really, really nice. And there are a lot of people who are motivated, it shouldn't seem like everything is lost. It's not like that. We have people who are really focused, who want to do something, who are motivated, who are social competent and stuff like that. But there are, as I said at the beginning, I'm a bit afraid that the strange people in the society, the people who just want chaos and who just like are not really want to work and are not really motivated, that they get more and more in the society. Like, I'm just a bit afraid how it will, if this statement of strong times create weak people, if this will be the case in our country, in our countries.
Yeah.
So let's see.
So a massive thank you to you guys for listening to today's episode, and another huge thank you to Tiiiim for being able to attend today. And we hope that you gain some valuable knowledge and perspective on how to navigate life's spin.
Oh yeah.
So Tiiiim, do you have any words to add?
Yeah. Thank you guys, first of all, that you made it happen. I'm able to speak with you guys about interesting topics. I learned a lot. I hope you guys also took something with you from this conversation. Especially like I think our views on our generation is like kind of the same, but everybody has its own like perspectives. And it was really interesting to me. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, guys, comment down below. We want to see. We want to hear your thoughts about the generation, our generation, and all that jazz. So yeah, until next time.
Adios.
You guys.